Welcome to the Fractured Families podcast. I'm Charity, a dedicated parental alienation coach here to support and advocate for families navigating the challenges of high conflict divorce and custody disputes. I'm here to shed light on the struggles many families face, offering insights, strategies, and hope for those seeking justice and healing. In each episode, I'll explore real-life stories, expert advice, and practical solutions to help rebuild and strengthen the bond that holds families together. Whether you're personally affected or looking to understand more about these complex issues, you're not alone. I'm here to walk you down this path. Come join me as I navigate the complexities of family law.
Hi, thanks for joining the Fractured Families podcast. I'm here today with husband and father Chris Vega, who is a 10-year Iraq and Afghan war veteran, ex-pro bull rider in the PBR, PRCA, CCPRA. He helped launch a successful nonprofit called Warriors and Rodeo for first responders and veterans. And lastly, Chris is an alienated father. You can find Chris on Instagram at chrisvega1. I want to go ahead and introduce my guest, Chris Vega, and he's going to tell us his story about being alienated and being an alienated father. Chris, thanks for joining.
This is actually my first time sharing this story with anyone besides my lawyers. But my name's Chris Vega. I'm originally from Parental, Texas. I'm 40 years old. As she said, I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran. I served 10 years, and with that, serving the 10 years, it messes with your mind already. Your brain's not totally there when something tragic as being alienated from your daughter, when that happens. So it's like it's pounded on double. So, well, this is my story. I met my ex-wife March of 2016. I never got to chance to date her. I was riding bulls in the PBR, and an opportunity came in to go to Colorado to ride bulls, and she out of nowhere offered to drive. So I was like, okay. It's a brand new chick, and she's saying all the right things to me, and I'm, single dad, and I liked it. So I was like, okay, you can drive, but we got to pick up a few bull riders. There we are with 3 bull riders in the car, and she's driving, and we're going through Vegas, and we're steaming it to Grand Junction, Colorado, and she sees the lights and glamour and glitz. She sees all the, you name it, all the paparazzis, you name it. I thought she was very involved and very, forthcoming, and I thought it was genuine. Coming back from Grand Junction, you got to go through Vegas. What do? We get, intoxicated, and there was I lived by the motto of say I won't and I will type thing. You're not going to tell me I can't do it. So my friend said, hey, I bet you won't get married. And I was like, yeah, right. So I was like, let's get married then. And me and her looked at each other, and she agreed. We got married, not even knowing each other like that. And we drive home. I wake up the next morning. I'm in Fresno, California, and she looks at me. She said, hey, we're married, right? And I was like, what? Like, no, I have my whole life. I have a separate life. I have 2 kids with my ex-girlfriend. But I was like, man, I don't know this. I don't know this lady. So I was going to get it annulled, and I didn't know the Vegas laws. I didn't know that if you get married on a weekend, you have that one day to call in and say, hey, this is just a drunken mistake, and they'll just throw away the paper. But if you wait past that one day, you are legally married in the state of Nevada. I waited a week, and remember when I remember this part because I'm going to come back to it. But I let my friend know, hey, can you call her and say, hey, man, Chris doesn't want to be married to you? He's like, you want me to break up with your wife? I was like, yeah. I'll do it. So we met at a park, and she's already got the wind of what I was going to do. Before I said anything, she slapped a sonogram on the table. She said, are you going to leave me now? And I was like, that's my baby? She's like, yeah. I was like, I'm naive, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll stay, I moved in with her in November 2016, and not knowing she had already 2 kids, and she had a mom live with her. Very first day of our marriage, and there's her ex-husband sleeping on the couch, and I'm like, why is this guy here? So I didn't think anything of it. I'm naive to everything. We move out, and I'm noticing I'm starting to be on the defensive mode. I was defending the kids. Like, don't talk to them that way, or why can't they have this? This is silly. They're letting them be kids. And I'm noticing I'm always the one defending the kids. Like, don't look at them like that. And she would look at my kids like they're trash. And years go by, or the end of 2017, and she had a miscarriage, by the way, from that sonogram. So I'm thinking I lost my baby. So I don't want a kid because I'm going through with my ex-girlfriend. I have 2 other kids. I'm going through child custody, and 2017 rolls by, and I'm a 10-year vet. All of my friends are either dead or they moved away. So I'm fighting child custody and in my PTSD. I'm 100% disabled veteran, and 75% of it's from PTSD. In 2017, I had my daughter's a baby shower. Something in my head said, it's time to go. It's okay, Chris. Let it go. You could be free now. So as she's driving, I yank the wheel. We go off a bridge embankment. It could have been anybody driving, but it so happened to be her. She's like 8 months pregnant. Nothing in my head is like, there. We land the car, all 4 tires blow out. And I was mad because obviously we're alive, or I was alive. Cops came and light bulb, I'm going to suicide by cop. So I'm going to have a cop kill me. So I took this hat, or a hat like it. I chucked it at the cop. I said, let's go, me and you. I think he knew that I wasn't there mentally. And eventually I went to jail, and I stayed in there for 4 or 5 days, and they let me out. I checked myself into the VA. So it was at that point where I'm like, man, I'm about to have a kid. I got to get my life together. What are you doing, Chris? So I did that. I said, I'm going to be the best husband. I don't know her. Let's just work it out. I'm going to be the best husband I can be. So I did that. For years, for the next 2 years, I stayed home. I didn't get to do anything. She always was out. I was always home with my little girl. When she would go on soccer trips, it was always me and her. So I raised, her for the first 2 years. I'm thinking I'm the best husband in the world. I back rubs every night, dinner on the table, house clean every day for the last 2 years. Alcohol was always my demon, because I always drank the pain away. And I got sober for a good little over a year and a half. February 2020, I decided to have one drink because I had no kids. They were all at school, and I had no responsibilities. So it was just me. Why not have one drink? I had one drink, and that was it. She found that drink, looked at me, and said, I want a divorce. I said, what? She said, I want a divorce. I'm not going to be with a drug. And I was like, oh, we had one drink, and I've been sober for a year and a half. Like, what's going on? And then I figured she was mad, so I let it go. 1 week till that day, I walk into an empty house. It took everything, and I was stunned. I was like, where's the couch? Where's this? Where's that? She had a new home. She had a new life. She had a new car. She had a new man that I didn't know about at the time, but she had a new man, and I was a stranger. And she treated me like she's never met me before in my life. She left me to clean the whole house by myself, and she cursed me because I didn't help her move. And I'll never forget what she told me. Her last words to me in May 2020 was, I can't wait to see the look on your face for when you fail. And my last words to her was, you'll never get a chance to laugh at me. I promise you that. And I've never been on my own in my life, 36 years old. So I went out and found me a small apartment out in Fresno, California. And she didn't let me see my daughter. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to go the route. So as hey, Father's Day's coming up. My birthday's coming up. Can I see her? Yeah, you'll get to see her. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm so excited. I'm like, man, I haven't seen her in like 3 months. The very next day, I get served with a temporary restraining order because she claimed I wanted to unalive her, unalive myself, and unalive my daughter in a twisted, murderous suicide plot. And I was like, whoa, like and I'm like texting her because I don't know the whole, you can't text or whatever TRO thing. And I text her, I'm like, what's going on? Why, what's this going on? She goes, can you please leave me alone? And she just not talk to me. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to find a lawyer, found a lawyer. I'm like, I'm fighting this. This is crazy. And he goes, don't worry. All child custody cases like this and divorces, they always end in a settlement 9 out of 10 times. I'm naive. I don't have no idea. I just want to see my daughter. So one day prior to the hearing, I'm ready to go. My lawyer called me. Hey, you ready to go? Yeah. He calls her lawyers call. Hey, she wants to settle. And I'm like, okay, what's that mean? Okay, we'll do a program to where you can work yourself up and see your kid. I'm like, okay. Oh, we settled. And I told myself, wow, this is crazy. She apologized. She said, she's sorry. She didn't write it. It was her lawyers. She didn't know that they did that, and she just signed her name. That would be November 2020. So from November to July 31st of 2023, I have maybe a little bit over 50%. I was always with my daughter. And so it was great. I'm like, man, I want to get 50% on paper because they gave me a little crappy deal. I asked her, I said, I want to get 50-50 on paper that, because she would always hold those orders over my head. She would say, well, if you don't do this, Chris, you know what that means. We'll go back to the original orders, so I was tired of that. So when I lawyered up, that's when everything changed. That's when she said, we're going back to the original orders. So now I lost time with her. Ended up buying a home. You would have thought that started World War III. That should have been our home, she said. I said, wow, crazy. So I ended up buying a home. I met my best friend. Within the 3 years, I was working on myself. I was like, man, I worked out every day, you name it, and all of a sudden I started getting the, hey, man, you look good. I was like, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Because I thought I was the problem. Because I told her, I'm going to show you, I'm going to win you back. Because I was the problem. I'm going to win you back. And she was like, okay, well, you got to show me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you. Within a year and a half of my apartment, I'm like, she's always giving me just enough to stick around. She was messaging me, and then I won't hear from her for about 4 or 5 days. Then she'll message me, hey, stranger. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm just thinking to myself, man, like she's playing games with me or something. I had a best friend already, and her name's Rebecca, and she's my wife now. I would tell her everything she's doing, and she was always my shoulder. I have a small inner circle, so I have very tight inner circle. Towards the end, you know what? I said, I think I'm going to I met somebody. Her name's Rebecca. I think I'm going to invite her to stay with me. And she was obviously mad and upset. She goes, do you love her? You know what? I think I do. And boy, that was like the worst thing to say. So I called Rebecca. I said, hey, do you want to just move in? I said, we're best friends. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we can always be best friends. She's like, okay. So we moved her from Wisconsin to California. We bought a home like months later, got married, all the crazy stuff like that, and moved maybe 30 minutes away. So here we are towards the end of July, already lawyered up, going through all this other process, thinking we're over it. I decided, let me call her ex-husband because they share a kid, and I want to know if she treats him the same way I get treated. And if so, what does he do to combat that and to make it better? So I call him, and I'm like, hey, man, I said, first I want to apologize for the way because I thought he was an abuser. She labeled him an abuser. Right. And I didn't like the guy because he abused women. I want to apologize for how I treated you. I'm sorry, I just got to know, did you abuse her? He goes, Chris, man, I never laid a hand on that woman. He goes, I was in Afghanistan fighting the war. And she cheated on me and got pregnant. What? Yeah. He goes, I go, with her second husband. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, that ain't even the worst part. He goes, she calls me while I'm at work and just to tell me she did. I said, wow, manipulation in this. So if you think about it, you're fighting a war, you get a phone call, your wife's cheating on you, pregnant, you're distracted, boom, you get on live. She reaps the benefits of a $400,000 tax-free life insurance policy, and nobody knows she's pregnant with her now second husband's baby. So now we're at that part, and he tells me all of these, he just opened up Pandora's box. Mm-hmm. So everything started coming into play, like, this is why she did this, and this is why she did that. So now here I am. I know the truth. I give her a text message. Can you give, our baby a kiss? Tell her I love her, miss her. We all miss her. She replies with absolutely. She never replies with absolutely. So here I am. Something's going to happen. Very next day, I got served with another TRO, 4 assaults because I'm going back to family court. So she used that route again. So she hit me with 4 false accusations of assault. And she got denied because she wrote it the first time and it got denied. Then she wrote it a second time, but she ended up being a lawyer and then it got approved. But the second time they made it more juicy, put more dates in there and put more details in there, and it got approved. And I went from 50% to 2 hours a week, supervised visits. I was crushed. I can't believe she did it again the second time. And I'm like, no way. She was stripped from me. And I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not by myself this time. Now I have my wife. I haven't spoken to my mom in like 10 years. But now that I have a wife, I have my mother-in-law, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been in the fight today for my kid, So from 2 hours a week, supervised visits, I refused. So I'm not going to do this. This is crazy. I'll wait to the hearing. I can hold out 3 weeks and she'll be fine. 3 weeks goes by and I can't find where I give him $3,500. He won't answer his phone. No, he won't do nothing. And here I am. I'm the problem. Okay. I'm convinced in my head I'm the issue. So you know what? I'm going to take care of the issue and I'm going to take 2 more people with me. So I get in my truck. I tell my wife right now, you don't matter. This is my brain. This house doesn't matter. So I take off my truck and I was going to beeline it straight to that disease office. I was going to put some hurting on this man, and then I was going to hopefully cops come. I was already planning in my head. And it's just it. I'll take care of the issue. If I'm the problem, pulled in the Rite Aid, I was going to get a drink, pulled out. As I was pulling out, I got a phone call. It was the VA. I had an appointment that day. I said, no way, not right now. So I hung up, put it in reverse, get another phone call. This time it's my father-in-law. and I wasn't going to answer it. But then again, I'm like, I love the guy. So I go, hello. He goes, what's going on? And I was like, nobody's ever said that to me like that. A father presence. And I'm like, he just let me vent. He's a pastor and he just let me talk. And I was waiting for let me stop you right there, bud. I was waiting for that. He never did. He just let me talk and talk and talk. And I just kept going out. I was like, why do I gotta be so perfect? I've done this, I've done that. Why is she attacking me? I've done nothing but a good father. And, after a big 30-minute rant, I was like relieved. I went home. I texted her and I said, I'm good. I said, I'll just see you in court. I'll meet you at this place for a child exchange. I said, good luck to you. And here we are in August 2023. And I'm thinking to myself, I got to hire a new lawyer because the guy won't answer his phone. He finally answered his phone and said, stop blowing up my phone. I was like, wow, thanks, man. It's okay. So I hired a top 10 law group in California, and I'm ready to rock. We're hitting the ground running. She gets deposed in October 2023. With so many holes in her stories that, I was so thankful that she got that deposition because that really saves your butt in the end. Here we are. We're going through the motions. We're going through continuance. And I finally do the supervised visits starting October-ish because I'm like, okay, it's been this long. I got to see her. Yeah. I know I have to see her, but I don't want to see her. I didn't want to look at her because I'm just like, it's unfair. I figured it's unfair to her, but then it's unfair to me. But am I being selfish? How is my ex? How can she walk around like no shame, like it doesn't care? I was like, how can you live with yourself? Boom, I see her at a supervised visit. It was a great visit, cry, a lot of emotions. You're not allowed to show emotion. You're not allowed to do, there's so many rules to a supervised visit. It's crazy. As she's walking away for the first time, you can hear her go, I miss my daddy. And she's crying. And I hear my ex go, I know. So I'm thinking to myself, she acknowledges that. She acknowledged that she knows. So why don't you do something about it? Your daughter is crying in front of you. You do nothing. So I'm like, she won't make me miss my daughter's birthday. She won't make me miss Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Yeah, she didn't care. All right. So we finally do an ex parte motion. We do an emergency. It got approved. And like 3 weeks before the hearing, and that hearing was set for March, I'm thinking to myself, we're going to get these unsupervised visits taken care of. My lawyer gets fired. The lawyer that I've been working with for the past 6 months, I get a voicemail. If we reassigned you a good lawyer, though, I believe you guys will hit it off. So here I am, have to meet a whole new guy. So here I am having to convince this guy that I really didn't do anything wrong. I know when lawyers there's a big thing with lawyers where you're not supposed to say, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. And obviously you had to do something. I promise she did. She made up these dates that's wrong. I got proof, I got timestamps. So I spent the following 3 weeks trying to convince him that I'm not the guy that she's saying I am. Well, he goes, well, the ex parte got approved. So that's one thing your ex-lawyer did very well. And I don't see a problem why we shouldn't get on supervised visits and taken care of. So here I am going into March. I'm ready to roll. And he calls me. He's like, hey, the first thing in winning this case is being there on time. I was there on time. He did he was by Zoom. And I hear the judge whisper to my lawyer. She goes, are you here to do the substitution for attorney? He goes, well, no, he a counselor. We talked on the phone already last week. And he goes, we're fine, right, counselor? We can proceed, right? The counselor goes like, nah, I'm going to need that paperwork. She goes, since you didn't do the substitution of attorney, we can't hear this case and come back. And I'm like, my world was, I was like, I cannot believe that one little piece of paper prevented me from seeing my daughter unsupervised. And yeah, that lawyer, he looked at me, he looked at my lawyer, he goes, I'm going to need that piece of paper. So I stand up and I'm bawling. My emotions were so high. I was so mad and upset, you name it. I was all the emotions in the world. And I see her, she gets the bailiff to escort her out. She gets the whole pony dog and show, whatever. And I'm like crying on the phone in my truck to my lawyer, like, why? And he's like, it's going to take another 6 weeks or whatever to do a whole ex parte thing. And he goes, by that time, you have your settlement meeting in June. He goes, so there's really no point. And I'm just like, oh my God, I got to wait another 3 more months. I said, okay, bad news after bad news after bad news. supervised visit after supervised visit after, you name it. And I'm like, when does it come to a point to where they'll start asking questions like, what did you do, dude? Because there's no criminal charges. There's no police reports. There's nothing on the criminal side at all because it's made up. And all it is her word. Like she had no evidence, you name it, nothing to present anything. So June comes around and I'm like, all right, let's go, settlement meeting. I'm not settling. No, this is the second time she's done this. I want everybody to know, the whole world's going to know, I believe I said, I'm going to win this. And within the year of me having the TRO, I violated twice. And all I did was I was gathering evidence on a phone and I had her blocked. But to gather evidence, I'm, scrolling, but I have her blocked and we both have iPhones. So I was laying down and I had the phone like this and it slipped. It hit my chest and I didn't have a shirt on. It hit my chest. I didn't know that if you have somebody blocked on an iPhone, it'll still call FaceTime audio. So I hit the FaceTime audio and it rings her. And I'm like, I hang up. I didn't talk to her. I didn't give it a chance. I was like, oh my God. So I called the lawyer. This is what happened to you. I didn't speak to her. 6 hours later, I get a phone call from the police department. She said you did it intentionally, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I didn't do it. I didn't even talk to her, bro. So, okay, well, nothing should happen. 6 months later, I'm rolling through it again. I was like, I'm not going to call her. I'm going to put it down this time. I put it down. My hip sends a text message, but it's in green because I have her blocked, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's in green. So I'm like, okay, maybe she didn't get it. So what is what do I do? Like an idiot, I press unsend. It sends her a message, Chris Vega unsent message on the phone. And I'm like, no freaking way. So boom, she calls the cops.
Oh my
Violation
God.
number 2. Yep. 2 violations. And they were both accidental. Going into the settlement meeting, they hold that on my head. They're like, well, your client's got 2 violations. And my lawyers is very scared. Scared. I was like, what are you scared of, man? I said, we got video, we got audio. What are you scared of, man? I got the truth on my side. I got litigation on my side. I said, what's the problem? He's like, oh, the DA, because, I'll take you to jail for this. He was just nothing positive at all from this man. Plus, he was 45 minutes late to my settlement of the most important day of my life. This guy's 45 minutes late, and I just upset. But he goes straight to work, though, when he comes in. And he's like, hey, she wants to negotiate. She wants to offer you this. And I'm thinking to myself, she shouldn't even be in a position to offer me a damn thing right now. What she's put me through. I'm like, no way. My daughter, too, as well. I'm like, why is she offering me something? So he's like, she'll have a restraining order on her for 2 years, but it'll take away the domestic violence. It'll take away that. And you go straight into the family thing and you can work to see your daughter. It's the quickest way to see your daughter. Just think about that. It's the quickest way to see your daughter. I was like, no. I said, why can't we have a trial? He goes, you're going to lose in trial. He goes, you're going to lose a trial. And I'm like, this is stupid, man. I said, she's going to do this again. I was like, no way. I told, she's going to do this again. And he's like, I need you to have my back in there. I need you to have my back in there. And I'm like, I call my wife. He said, yeah, I call my wife. She goes, ask him if you do this, does it mean that you're guilty? I go, if I do this, does it mean an admission of guilt? He goes, no. I was like, okay. I was like, what else? He didn't tell me any stipulations. Not one thing did he tell me. The only thing he said was, this is the quickest way to see your daughter. So I said, okay. I was like, fine, I'll do it. I was pissed. So I go into the courtroom and the judge is saying, did you get enough chance to ask your lawyer all the questions you needed to ask? And I said, no, I didn't, because I heard that I had to do a batter's treatment program. And I'm like, batter's treatment program? What are you talking about, bro? I didn't hit nobody. He's like, you don't have to do it. No. I was like, so I said, no, judge, I need to speak to him. She goes, okay, take this time and ask him a question. I go, if I take this deal, do I have to do this class? Just like that. He goes, no. I was like, okay. I go, I'm good, but everything in my body is saying, stand up, Chris, say no. Everything in my body is saying that. But I'm just like, I cry. I already say, I'm tears in my eyes. I say, yeah. And then the deal is accepted. And then the stipulations were read off again. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, I have to take this class, dude. I said, you freaking lied to me. And he goes, so what? It's just a class.
Oh my gosh.
I go, it's just a class. I was like, are you going to do it for me? I was like, I got a life, dude. I was like, I can't be doing this. And he's like, you did the right thing, man. He's like, you did the right thing. I go, you were asking me to pretend that something happened when it never happened. You're asking me to do that. And I said, look at the questionnaires that it had on the thing. Was the child present when you were during the domestic? I was like, what domestic? It was domestic. I was like, what's going on? And I'm thinking to myself, man, so here I am Googling. I'm not giving up. I can't give up. I've went over a year already, over 100,000 spent. I could, if it was for my mother-in-law, I would have lost her. So, and on top of that, you have to pay supervised visits to go to see your daughter. So, yeah. So, and gas, you name it. So, I'm like, man, can you get a stipulation reversed? They said, yeah, you can. And this is the reason. If your lawyer's been mischievous, lying, false accusations, you name it. I got to do this. I can't pretend something happened that didn't happen. I email him and I'm like, hey man, I said, we didn't even try. I was like, I started running down my accolades. I was like, I've done this in my life. I wrote bulls all over the nation, about you name it. And not one time did I give up. And then I went over a year and give up on this. I was like, no way. I said, you lied to me. And I let him go as a lawyer. I hired a new lawyer. I just told him my story. He said, hey, Chris, I think you got something here. So I'm like, okay. I said, this is what I need you to do. I wrote the California State Bar. I put in a complaint for my lawyer, told him what happened. They replied back within like 90 days or something. They said, your lawyer's negligence, it doesn't constitute to a complaint. Sorry, you got a bad deal. He was negligent in this and negligent in that. And so I was like, at least they're saying he was wrong, So they said all that stuff. Now I am at the point to where I'm getting it set aside. That's what it's called. I'm getting my stipulation set aside. Oh, when I took on this last lawyer, you're going to be in a hole. He's like, you're digging yourself out of the hole. They had crappy lawyers and this and that. He goes, we're going to get you out of this hole, but you're going to have to, you've taken some L's, man. He's like, you've been beat up by the system. He's like, are you willing to do this, man? And I was just, here I'm a big emotional guy. I'm like bawling all the time. And I'm like, I'm ready, man. I was like, I got to do this, 'cause I'm not doing it just for me. I'm not doing it just for Addison. I was like, I'm number 3. I was number 3. Now she's on 4. I was like, she's going to have another one. And it's going to keep going until somebody breaks that cycle of abuse. I tried to warn number 4. He didn't care. Oh, no. I was the demon. I was the bad guy. And I said, you're just a number, dude. But that didn't matter to him. He said that he's in love. And I was like, hey, man, if you could change her, by all means, good luck. Over this past year, now he's an enabler. So now he's not really asking the question. He's not really standing up for himself, let alone my daughter. So I'm just like, man, you're just like her, So here I am, just like, twiddling my thumbs. I'm a man of action. I need to not sit at home and do nothing. So what do I do, and how do I treat myself to go through this much pain? When I mean pain, I told my wife, I said, I would rather see my kid, or I would rather see my friends get shot in the head again, over and over again. If that meant I didn't have to go through this, I said, I would go through that. I said, this is the worst thing in the world, So I isolate myself, and I'm talking isolate. I made like a little den in the garage. I have my little man cave and stuff. And I'm in there majority of the time of our marriage, and I have a life with her, but it's like my body, my brain is just like so messed up to where it's like, if I picture my daughter without, then I have to be without. So what I did was, I knew like on a Tuesday and a rainy day, I know what she's doing. She's in her room trying to live like she lives. That way I can know the pain that she's going through and I can feel that. So I ended up not eating right. I lose 50 plus pounds, and I'm not on purpose. It's just my brain, the way I function is like, if you're going to go through it, so will I. I'm not going to go to Six Flags. I'm not going to go out to eat. I'm not going to do this. Why am I going to go and have fun when you can't? We're a team, So I was like, we're a home team. That's what we are. We're a home team. I was like, I can't do that. I can't have fun and be a dad. And then I'm not whole, it just didn't make sense. So I isolated myself, and I'm still to this day, until it's almost over. It's almost over, and and she's about to get, she's about to get exposed, basically. it's getting to that point to where it's like, you can't duck this no more. We've gone so far. You can't say, hey, he's done this or hey, he's done that. No, because just about a month and a half ago, those 2 violations I told you I got in a year, she ended up, her lawyer ended up hitting me with one of them, and they sent me to jail for one of them. And I had to answer for one of them. And I'm like, for one of the violations, are you kidding me? So I had to go spend a whole day in jail. I got out and I had to get a criminal lawyer. Now I have a criminal lawyer. And man, and he reads the report. And he's like, this is the silliest, dumbest thing. He goes, that's the worst thing she could have done, but maybe the best thing she could have done for you. I said, why is the best thing? He goes, then it leads on to other things. He goes, I'll get this thrown out. He's like, I don't see them charging you for this. You didn't make contact with her. The report said, you name it. It's all in my favor. And he's like, we'll get it thrown out. And I was like, okay. He's like, and my lawyer didn't want to do nothing on the custody side because he said, if we go into court and I say, I want to file a motion for this and this to set aside, he goes, what do you think her lawyer is going to do? Well, he's got a pending criminal charge. He goes, take care of the criminal and then we'll go do the custody. Yeah. So I got to wait longer. Like, oh my God, man. I'm like, okay. So the criminal part is Thursday, and that should be thrown out, hopefully. I don't see why it wouldn't be thrown out, but that'll be Thursday. And right as it either gets thrown out or gets taken care of, we're hitting the ground running. Boom. Motion. Boom. Because not only is my daughter questioning things, she's saying last Saturday, she said, are we family? I go, yeah, we're family. Well, I'm your dad. She won't hug me. I said, why won't you hug me? She's like, well, people have head lice and stuff. And I'm just like,
those excuses that they come up with, it's so ridiculous.
Yep. And I'm like, I'm hugging you. So I gave her a hug and it takes her a while to say, this is not the dad that you keep telling me that he is. Yes. So he's like, Dad, you're the best dad in the world. You're the best dad. Okay. She looks forward to those little 2 hours, and the whole supervised visit, she forges a doctor's note. So I wouldn't be able to bring her like chicken nuggets or something, you name it. Forged a doctor's note with a doctor's signature. Hey, this is Dr. blah, 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 misspelling words and everything. And I'm like, no doctor wrote this. Okay. But they have to honor it, they have to honor that note. So she took away the privilege of me getting to bring her food, like from any places that she likes. Took away YouTube. I'm not allowed to bring her any gifts no more.
I knew it.
Why? Why can't she have gifts? So now what? Now I just show up and there she's like, Dad, did you, it was my, for Christmas, it's Christmas. I'm just like, yeah, it's Christmas. Yeah. So I bought her a VR headset and I was like, no, we're having fun here, man. And I said, she can go tell a judge all she wants. I bought my daughter a VR. I don't care. So I got her that and she rocked out with it. But, yeah, so that now we're at the part where this is her second time, right? Second time doing it. So get this. You would think that a guy like me has been through enough, right? I told you I had 2 other kids with my ex-girlfriend. She knows all about it, right? She couldn't stand her while we were together. And she got back from a deployment. She was on deployment and I had my 2 100%. So they were with me. And she got back and the kids were like, hey, Mom, can we live with Dad primarily? I mean, we lived with you for 10 years and we lived with Dad primarily, and she said, no, well, everything's the same, 50%. The only thing that changes is this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. She ended up doing the same thing. Yeah. So here I am in court answering to false allegations from that woman saying things like, oh, she started the campaign, the spreading rumors campaign. She spread rumors about me being, oh, you're a pedophile and this and that. And I'm like, out of nowhere, all these accusations. And I'm like, this wasn't a problem then. And now I'm reading all this new stuff. And now you're saying the kids can't live with me because of this. I'm just like, I can't believe you're doing this. I was like, I can't believe this. I said, do you not know what I'm going through? I was like, yeah. So get this. My ex-wife wrote a letter in favor of now my ex-girlfriend. So now they teamed up. They teamed up against me right now. And he wrote a letter in favor of, he disciplined that, and I got a restraining order against him, and this and that. And I was like, I couldn't believe this was happening to me. I was like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, these guys, they hated each other. Like I have text messages like wanting to physically assault each other, but now they're best friends. Out of the last 4 years, now she reaches out to her, and now they asked my kids to go to dinner with them. I was like, what the heck? Like, no way, dude. So my son and my daughter's like, I'm not going. Like, I tell her to leave me alone. They already know because she left them too. She left them without even saying goodbye. And treated them like garbage. And so now I'm like, I have an attorney for her. I have an attorney for my girlfriend, and I have an attorney for criminal side. And I'm paying for unsupervised visits, and I'm paying for my attorneys, and I'm paying for gas, I'm paying for house, I'm paying, you name it.
Yeah.
They're trying to drain my bones, So now apparently they're best friends now. They talk all the time now. Now my ex is saying things to my kids like, well, your dad doesn't ever want to call you guys. He doesn't ask me to call you guys. Stuff like that. Like, your dad does this, or your dad was a gang member, like things like that. And I was like, why is she saying these things? And but that's getting fixed though. It's not going to go the route that everybody thinks it's going to go. I'm done. I think I wrote her a letter saying, you've exhausted all bridges with me. I said, I'm not negotiating with you. I said, we're going to take this to the max, to the end. And I said, I'm ready to go. I said, this is crazy. So now I'm fighting that case. I'm fighting that case and a criminal case. So 3 cases right now, but they're all going to go, in order, Doug, because I think by the time I'll say by April-ish, May, I think everything will be done, because they give you 45 days for criminal for the hearing, and that's already almost up. So I get it, which is 2 days from now. So I'll hear from that motion, boom, we'll hit the ground running, because it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, she wrote that letter in favor of her and they're all in cahoots. So it's like, I have so much evidence against her, and I'm like, I could play, they're together now. So it's like her judgment of each other, you could see what they're doing. But I've been very confident in every aspect of everything I've ever done with these cases. I've never doubted myself, because why should I worry in court when I got only one person's going to walk in with evidence, and that's me, Right. Nobody else got anything else. So I'm not ever worried when it came to court. But when you go to court, you hear they hate you. Mm-hmm. Judges hate you. The mediator spoke to me like I was a felon. I don't even have a felony on my record. My judges, they speak to me like I'm dirt, man. Yeah. And I'm just sitting here like, you can't just say false accusation. You can't say that, because we're not here for that, sir. So you're sitting there just taking punches left and right. I'm staring at their man, or if they bring their man or whatever. I'm not scared to look at you, man. Like, but you can't look at me, because we know what's going on. But what I think is crazy is that the kid, like, you don't see their hurt. Like, you don't see the kids crying that they want their father, or like, that doesn't faze you. Like, and when it's all said and done, now is a judge going to say, like, put her on supervised? Like I said, I wouldn't want her to go through that again. I don't even know what's going to happen there, but I'm going to push for the max on my ex-wife's part. I'm going to push for the max, because it's been over a year. It's exhausted so many resources, playing the victim, you name it. I think that deserves a timeout, like, you deserve to go away, that's jail time, you need a timeout to think about your actions. And I'm the third one. Her first husband told me that, because he was the abuser, so he didn't even get to grow up and see his kid. She made her second born grow up without her father because of her infidelity. And he threatened him with child support you name it, every time I was with her. So he didn't get to defend himself, because he said he didn't have the money. The second one, she tried to have babies with him, but 3 miscarriages. I found that out later in the marriage. So if she would have had one, you best believe she would have been up that route too. And then me, so she went at that route. So I think that her whole plan was to have kids and live off of the child support, and live off that way, because there's no other there. She's not doing anything with her life, but that's what she's doing. And she keeps close ties to the exes. So I found out, remember I said, remember this, and I'll go back to it. Yeah. I found out that sonogram she slapped on the table, it wasn't my baby. That was the second husband's baby sonogram. She said it was mine, and I was duped into staying with her. Yeah. With that. So I found out that wasn't my kid. I found out that when we left, and I had no vehicle for 3 years. I was walking, take a Lyft ride, you name it, everywhere. And finally got a brand new truck. I got a nice truck. And oh man, you would think that you'd have started World War III with that. I can't progress in life. You can't progress in life. How dare you? You're supposed to need me to do that. Right. So everything I ever got, she was just like, she's never been to this house because of, the TRO that she put right away. But I think she did it because she found out that I knew the truth. So when she found out and she said, absolutely, that's when I knew that she knew that I knew everything. And she, to protect her character, she put those false accusations and she's riding this out as long as she can. And now her time is up. Now her time is up. She's got to answer for it. And she thought I was going to quit like her, just like the rest of them didn't, man. It was hard. I wanted to quit every day of my life. I was just going to say, you know what, I quit. I'm done, But something in my head kept seeing I raised her. I couldn't quit on it. It was in my gut. Me and my wife, were just like, you have to hear the name over and over again, the stories over and over again. So you're just constantly typing, constantly going through the motions with the same stuff, and 3 different lawyers.
You're immersed in it.
So I'm like, so it's like our dinners has to be revolved around her. Our day has to revolve around her. This and this and this. So I'm thinking, and it took away my, we had a kid, his name's Wesley, and it took away her pregnancy, because she's having to deal with this. So it's like she didn't get to enjoy or like get to really experience what it's like because she had to go in and out of courtroom, you name it. She took that away from her. And my mother-in-law flying back and forth, helping us out with the babies, you name it. And, and she's going through cancer and stuff like that, but she's doing cancer screens and stuff. I was thinking maybe she has compassion in her heart. Maybe she'll drop it. She heard about the cancer thing. Nah, she didn't care. So it's like, okay, I couldn't take my kids to school because they went to school on base because I have a restraining order. So if you have a restraining order, they bar you from base because you're not allowed to be on base because you're a bad guy. So I had to pay people that I didn't even know to take my kids on their first days of school throughout the whole school year. She's never, not once said, okay, I'll negotiate with him, or okay, I'll do this for the kids, or I'll do this for that. No. So yeah, that's where we're at right now, man. Like life right now, I told my wife, I said, my life stopped. While y'all are still going, I get it, but you will never know because you have our kid, but you'll never experience. I hope you never experience this. I hope you never do it to me. But I was like, you don't. She lets me be me. I tell her I feel bad. I'm in here. I feel bad. I isolate myself, but that's the only thing I know. And my mother-in-law was like, Chris, that's what you do. That's what you know. That's what you know to do to make yourself feel better is to isolate yourself and do that. She's like, because you're not harming nobody, just because I sit here and I just stare at the walls. And I'm thinking to myself, what is she doing? What law can I find? What loophole can I look through? I contacted my state legislators. I contacted Congress and Senate, you name it. I've spoken to everybody, Dr. Phil's, you name it, dude. I'm literally going through everything I can possibly go through just so I can get an extra minute, of seeing her. She's 7 years old now, and she did it when she was 2, and she did it when she was 6. So I missed her 6th birthday, her 7th birthday, I missed her 3rd. I'm missing it, I thought to myself, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this?
You didn't do anything.
And it's crazy how I said I didn't do anything when people were like, you sure you didn't do that?
No.
Like, nah, bro. I didn't do nothing.
And, Chris, as we wrap up, that's the thing that you need to remember is it's not anything you did. And so many parents, whether they're mothers or whether they're fathers, when I work with them, they ask, what did I do? You didn't do anything, right? The only thing you did was try to be present. That's it. And they are not okay with that, right? Exactly. They're just not okay with that. So we're wrapping up. I thank you for joining. No, it's been great. I look forward to hearing what happens. So we'll definitely have you back. Thanks, Chris, for joining our Fractured Families podcast. And again, if you want to reach out to Chris, you can find him on Instagram at Chris Vega 1.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Fractured Families podcast. I hope our conversation has provided you with support, understanding, and actionable insights to help you navigate your own family challenges. Remember, healing is a journey, and reaching out for help is a sign of strength. You're not alone. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more families in need. You can contact me on social media at Parental Alienation is Real and visit our website for additional resources and ways to get involved. Stay strong, stay connected, and keep fighting for the family bonds that matter most. Until next time, take care and stay resilient.